So I made YouTube videos back in August, I think it was, and I was reviewing the first 2 books of the Lightbringer series. And it's been a long time since I actually reviewed those, and especially since I read them. My intention was to do separate videos for each one, and to have them on the channel. But having read them quite some time ago, so I think I finished the 3rd one in about September or October, and then read since then the 4th one and then the 5th one. So what I'm going to do today is a kind of full series review. I do talk a little bit about the first 2, and then I'll go into more detail about the 3rd, 4th and 5th one. I will try and be aware of spoilers. I will try to avoid them at all costs until the very end when I talk about the last book. I will do a little bit about that, and then I'll go into spoilers, because I feel you kind of need to go into spoilers a little bit to talk about the ending of the series. That's something that people actually want. So before I get into this, remember I stream over on Twitch, and I'll leave a link for that down in the description below. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And also make sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and leave a like. So the Black Prism, that's the first of the series, and this introduces you to the magnificent magic system that these books include. It's all about colour, so each colour represents a different kind of type of magic, I guess, because it's all about colour. It's all about light. That's how what it's called, Lightbringer. The magic system itself is very visual, and I find that extremely interesting to read about, and it's quite good to be able to picture in your mind and understand from the get-go. At first it seems a bit weird and you don't understand it, but from literally like a third of the way into the book, you've grasped the magic system for the entire series. There's some few changes in the later ones, but that's nothing like that devalues what's already been set up. The learning curve for this, like most fantasy, is steep, but not ridiculously steep. I found this one easy to pick up. I wasn't put off by how much I needed to take in, which some people like, I understand that. But for me, first picking up, this is the first proper fantasy series that I've read, and if this was too steep, I probably would have put it down and stopped reading. And so this was good that this one wasn't ridiculously intense that I couldn't continue reading. The characters in this one are great just off the bat. Amazing. They like come into their own a bit more in the later books. There's a couple others I'll talk about in a bit, but these are fantastic and I really enjoy them, especially the morally grey characters that they're going for throughout this. With the second book, The Blinding Knife, this focuses on Kip and his Blackguard training. No spoilers there. This is what happens. And it's slow in the middle, and that's one of the things that kind of put me off this one. It gets quite downtrodden. It's not my favourite. It took a bit of time to get to the final 5th of the book, where it properly picks it back up, and you can blast through that last 5th. I did. So it does make up for it there, but it does get slow around the middle. This also introduces one of my favourite characters, who's Cruxer. He's just amazing. He's one of those, like, in a morally grey book, well, morally grey series, he is like the shining light, the flawless to a T in terms of his authority and his trust to what he believes in, and I love it. He's a great character, and this book introduces us to him in a very good way, and he sticks through the series. In The Broken Eye, this is the 3rd one. This one had a lot more page time. I think when I bought the book, the pages were like white because they were so much thinner. It was made on like thinner paper because there were so many pages, unlike the first 2, even though it looks like thinner on the shelf. This one has a lot more focus on Kip and Tia and Karis. Gavin gets a lot less time in this because he's elsewhere, and you kind of focus on the other characters, so Kip, Tia and Karis. And in this one, Tia herself comes into her own. She's great. You get a lot of page time with her, and you understand her character, her motives, and she becomes one of my favourite. She's brilliant, and it's a very, very entertaining book to read. It does, like I said, in the middle, it does lose itself a couple of times by being a bit too slow, and you kind of spend multiple chapters talking about this same thing and building up to this thing, which then it doesn't really happen. It's all, but other than that, it is a very good book, very great book. The fourth one out of this is The Blood Mirror. This one is considerably shorter than The Broken Eye. This is, I think, the shortest one. It's 560 pages, I think, or 580 pages. And there's, once again, less focus on Gavin. This is fine because of the last book, which I'll talk about in a second. But we get more on Tia and Kip, and not their relationship because they're kind of apart in this. But you kind of get a bit more, and it's a great setup for the final installment. And it's one of those ones where, as it wasn't too long, the middle didn't suffer as much, I felt, because you had key moments that were dotted about that were coming in, and it's just the great character work that the author does, because these are great characters to read. I love them, they're great. And now, The Burning White. This is the final book, and it is 900 plus pages. I think it's 922. And as a book of about 450,000 words. I think it was 475,000, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't check me on that. But for a massive book, the pacing in this is excellent. So good. Because there's so many. I guess it's one of those things where not only is it trying to end a series in such a big way, it's got so many different things that's got to happen, and you've got all these events are dotted about through it, and so you're always going from one to another to another to another. And so if you don't like that, that's fair enough. But this is one of those things where there was no downtime where I felt bored and wanted to put the book down. You could just keep going and going and going. And this one does have a lot more focus on Gavin as a character, and this is one of those things that I really enjoyed, because you feel his character has come to a point, he's progressed and just become a more rounded character, and it's great. It's fun to read about. The book doesn't, like I said, doesn't drop because lots of events happen, and there is lots of great character work, especially some that you don't consider great characters. So some, like for example, Andros here, very well done. Really enjoyed him. I'm now going to talk spoilers for a second, because I feel that is needed in terms of talking about the final book. There was a little confusion I had around the stuff that happened with Tia at the end of the book. It was made out that she died, and then she was brought, and then she wasn't dead, and then I don't know what happened there. It was very confusing, because they made it out like she couldn't survive this one thing, and then did, and didn't properly. I didn't feel they properly explained why. Gavin's journey throughout the book, his kind of ascension to God, basically, is a very fun thing to read about, especially the back and forth between him and O'Harlem, or I don't know how you say it. I'm bad at remembering, but it's O'Harlem or something. But yeah, their back and forth is great, and their journey that they take, and the kind of confrontation at the end. His character arc throughout this is brilliant. It's all about him being more selfless, which is one of those things where you expect this to be the kind of character arc. You take a morally grey character, and for him to progress, you make him a better person. But the way this is done is excellent. Really enjoy reading about it. I have issues with Kip's death. I feel I don't understand how he was brought back. It makes it seem very... I like things to have been set up beforehand, as if that was a possibility, made you forget about it, and then when it comes back, it's a worthy thing. Whereas this, I don't remember this ever being used, and so I've spoke to people, and they say that they thought that his death, it was obvious that he was going to come back. Whereas me reading it, I thought, oh yeah, no, they're going to go there, they're going to kill him off, and they're going to do that. But they brought him back, and I felt like, I don't know, I love the character, but I feel he should have stayed dead. The whole rebirth thing didn't make sense to me, and I don't know why. The ending of the book, after the fact, after everything's been resolved, and they're bringing everything to a close, got very confusing. There was bits, that had been set up that weren't properly addressed, and there were a few loose ends that I just felt was a bit confusing. But that's all my negatives there. The book as a whole is amazing, and it's a great series that pushes the boundaries of modern fantasy. It does. There's so many morally grey characters that you like and you understand, and I really enjoy it. Like I said when I was talking about the first one, the magic system is one of the best I've seen, with the whole use of colour and how that affect, and how it's light in general. Obviously, the series is called Lightbringer, so it makes sense. But the magic system is very well written. You understand it, and it's not something that gets entirely confusing and is used as like an off way to solve problems. The ending may seem controversial to a few people, and actually, I think anyone you speak to will either say it's the best they've ever seen or the worst, because it's that controversial. But I can say at least that it is very fun to read, and I would think I read the last 300 pages in one night. It was just one of those things where I couldn't put the book down. You had to just keep reading. And so I do recommend for something like that. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like down below. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe as well. Don't forget, I also stream over on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I'll leave a link for that down below. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.